Imagine what it's like to never have a voice. Because every time you want to speak, you're left without a choice. To keep it all inside and hold it all in, because everything you want to say results in stuttering. But that's just how it's been since before I was 10. And emotional isolation made my confidence so thin as these demons inside began to eat me alive to a point where I couldn't even comprehend the thoughts in my mind. And eventually I snapped because I just couldn't do it. And all these stressors in my life made me completely lose it. I stopped talking to my friends because they weren't there for me. I started to hide from my depression in a constant cloud of weed, always thinking like, poor me. I couldn't stand myself. Only seeing what was wrong with others while ignoring it in myself. I was depressed and I was anxious, but I'm just thankful for my family, for never giving up on me. Even after all the emotional pain and worry I put them through, they knew what I needed. After 17 years of buildup, a release. And what I found was writing, and the strength that it gave me. It was enough to keep me fighting. So when I was feeling down, and my life got really hard, I took my fucking struggle and I turned it into art. I started to study the work of greats from Woody Allen to James Joyce, and as I wrote my story, I finally found my voice. And as I kept writing, my confidence was gained, and I was feeling great, even smiling every day, until I got back to school, and as soon nothing changed. Because when you aren't seen for who you really are, it's really hard to be yourself and change people's minds, but I had to look inside to find myself, no longer a closed book on the shelf. I just had to open up. Imagine what it's like to go the first 17 and a half years of your life without knowing who you are. And on your backside, there's a scar that reminds you of how far you've come. But I'm proud of my past. And after all those years of pain, loneliness, and tears, my only motivation was to conquer the devil in my ear, but I refused to quit, and now I'm stronger than I was. So failure's not an option, because I'm doing what I love. My name is Noah Rudman. I began stuttering when I was 7 years old. When you stutter, you feel helpless. You feel like you can't express what you need to say. You can't speak your mind. When you can't do that, who are you? No one knows. If I never said a word, if I stood up here for 10 minutes, didn't say anything, you wouldn't get anything from me. You would just see slides and it wouldn't change anything. But when you stutter, you're stuck. And that's exactly how I felt for the first 17 years of my life. And it was through writing that I found my release. And through writing this poem, actually, I found that. And through writing this poem, I was able to tell my story, and I was able to express myself and be heard. And when I first performed this poem, the fact was, people came up to me and they told me that I made a difference in their life, and that made the biggest difference in my life. Because after that moment, I realized that we all have a voice. We all have an individual voice that we have and that makes us unique. And the most amazing thing is to be able to express that. And so what I realized was that I wasn't alone. There are about 70 million people in the world who stutter, 70 million voices who may not have been heard. And while many of us may have stuttered when we were children, a lot of us do, most people can overcome it. But for the people who don't find a way to overcome it, I believe that I believe that expression is the way to expressing yourself is the way to do that. By telling your story any way that you can, you will open up the world to yourself. And so I began, after writing this poem, I began working on a documentary looking into stuttering, and I reached out to the stuttering communities, looking for people to possibly interview, and the response I got was incredible. I had people from all over the world wanting to tell their stories, and I am now working on this documentary, I've already written the script, I'm working on producing this documentary in order to tell the story of stutterers and of individuals who stutter, because we, as stutterers, have our individual voices, but there is a more collective voice that needs to be heard, and it still yet to be heard. And this is just one more step as to letting them be heard. Thank you.